Thanks for joining us on News Express this evening. I am Oladoyin Ayegbusi. We begin the news now as President Bola Tinubu has today appointed Honorable Shizam Obi to the Governing Council of Alex Ekweme Federal University, Ondufwe Alike, Ebonyi State. As announced in a statement by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, Obi's appointment follows the death of a member of the council. The President also appointed Professor Raf Akinfeleye, a renowned communication specialist, to the Governing Council of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife, Osun State. Among other appointments were that of Professor Ibrahim Adamu as Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Health, Sciences and Technology, Tafe, Zamfara State, Aminu Yusuf Yelwa as the university's registrar, Usman Nakayali Sanusi as the bossa, and Dr. Shehu Aminu Liman as the librarian. Still with the President, today he met or hosted the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, where the duo held a closed-door meeting in the nation's capital. Although the details of the meeting are still unknown, it was gathered that the meeting may be connected with the forthcoming governorship election in Anambra State, where Soludo is seeking a second term in office. Soludo was seen wearing a cap bearing Tinubu's Infinity logo, a mark of endorsement for the president who may seek another term in office. According to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), the Anambra State governorship election is scheduled to be held on November 8, 2025. A chieftain of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Umar Sani, has raised concerns over Peter Obi's promise to do one term if elected as president and believes his supporters may not allow him to keep his word. Sani, in an interview today, argued that though Obi's integrity is not in question, the former Labour Party presidential candidate may pander to pressure from his supporters. Obi's single-term comment has, however, continued to generate debate among stakeholders like Sani, who says Obi's proposal might be difficult to implement. The best bet for the PDP, he believes, is a former President Goodluck Jonathan. According to him, the better option is in the interest of the northern Nigeria. And away from political stories now, the federal government has introduced a virtual interactive platform designed to improve understanding and enforcement of the Code of Conduct for public officers in a bid to strengthen integrity, accountability, and ethical governance. The head of Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Walson-Jack, unveiled the tool in Abuja, describing it as a compass to guide public servants on ethical standards while eliminating ignorance as a defense for misconduct. Developed by the technical team or unit on governance and anti-corruption reforms, TOGA, in partnership with the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, the initiative aims to tackle corruption and ensure consistent application of the code nationwide. Watson Jack said the platform builds on a 2018 ethic framework review and will complement existing regulations such as the Public Service Rules and the Civil Service Handbook. Still with the federal government, it has said Nigeria's march towards a $1 trillion economy by 2030 is firmly on course, but wants it not yet Uhuru. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told journalists in Abuja that President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda is cruising well, though the journey to full economic freedom is still ongoing. Idris spoke after two economic meeting hosted by Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma, one with APC political leaders and another with oil giant Saplet led by Senator Udoma. The minister said laying a solid foundation for the economy requires enduring some pains, but assured that the reforms are putting Nigeria on stronger footing. He pointed to progress in tackling insecurity, boosting food production, and addressing the financial deficit at both states and federal levels. In a separate development, the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA), Mike Achimogo, has reiterated the importance of passengers' adherence to aviation safety rules and instructions from cabin crew. Speaking on a national television today, Adamimogo stated that passengers must always obey the cabin crew when they are abroad. When they are aboard, I beg your pardon, an airline, emphasizing that the rules exist to protect all cabin crew and all passengers.
You must always obey cabin crew when you are aboard an airline. You don't make the rules for safety in aviation. So when you are asked to do a thing, in this particular case, other passengers on board that aircraft are said to have been the ones who seized this passenger's phone and turned it off. When you are flying with other passengers, their safety and their concerns also matter. Your rights stop where theirs begin. So when the announcement has been made, turn off your phones. They feel very uncomfortable and unsafe to see the person next seat not turning off that phone. So the other passengers were made to feel very uncomfortable, and this entire situation was very avoidable because when you turn off your phone, it's only for a few minutes. You can turn it back on mid-air. So this was quite avoidable, but we'll see what the court say.
While clarifying that the NCAA does not have the power to prosecute, Adamimogo noted that airlines reserves the right to blacklist any passenger deemed a risk.
Airline operators have the power to blacklist any passenger who is unruly and put it a risk. We have a lot of flight disruptions in Nigeria because we lack capacity. There's not enough aircraft in Nigeria at the moment to fly passengers. And so while managing the capacity we have at the moment, any risk to aircraft is going to be acceptable.
The director also described the recent incident involving Fuji musician King Wasiu Ayinde Marshal Kwamwan and a female passenger aboard an E-bomb air flight as very avoidable and warned that disobedience could have serious consequences. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) has clarified the agency's role in two recent incidents, stating that the authority only intervenes when it's within its jurisdiction. In an interview today, the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection for the NCAA, Mike Adamimogo, said the agency did not intervene in the case involving Fuji musician Wasiu Ayinde, also known as K1 The Ultimate, because the airline chose not to press charges.
There is no comparisons here, not necessary. It's not a case of oranges and oranges. In the Kwamwan incident, the airline did not activate its right to take the passenger to court. So the CAA did what it's supposed to do by petitioning the relevant authorities to prosecute the passenger.
In the E-bomb air incident where a passenger assaulted a member of the airline staff, he said the carrier promptly exercised its right to pursue the matter in court.
Maybe because their staff has been assaulted, the airline immediately activated its right to take up the matter and then it went to court. So the CAA is not involved in the case of the E-bomb air passenger.
The passenger, identified as Emerson Comfort, was arraigned in court on the same day the incident occurred and subsequently remanded. Adamimogo noted that both incidents show the aviation system is under strain, adding that there's enough blame to go around. FAAN, AVSEC, cabin crew, and passengers. Nigerian youth have been charged to build themselves and live up to their task as the future of the nation. This call was made by the Director of Media and Publicity, People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ondo State Chapter, Leye Igbagbo, to commemorate the International Youth Day. In this report, Adamimogo FM's Folawumi Olanio has a conversation with Igbagbo, and here is the report.
The International Youth Day, observed annually on August 12, is a United Nations designated occasion dedicated to celebrating the energy, creativity, and potential of young people worldwide, while also acknowledging the unique challenges they face. In Nigeria, where over 60% of the population is under the age of 30, this day highlights the pivotal role that young people play in shaping the nation's present and future. The vibrancy and innovation of Nigerian youth have long been recognized as key drivers for growth, yet concerns persist about the social and political environment in which many young people find themselves. To mark this occasion, the Director of Media and Publicity for the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ondo State, Leye Igbagbo, voiced his concerns about the country's future, particularly pointing to the unruly conduct exhibited by some youths.
Some of these youths that we think that they should hand over power to are not somebody the society can rely upon. We're talking of those who are already addicted to drugs. You see so many of the youth now are involved in ritual killing, kidnapping, and all of those things. It's a very unfortunate situation.
Igbagbo further urged youths to invest in building their skills, character, and capacity so they can effectively navigate and overcome the challenges ahead.
I would advise the youth to buckle up, to change their character, to live up to the expectation of becoming leaders of today, not even tomorrow now.
Also contributing to the conversation, public affairs analyst Kofoworola Akinjo, who noted that Nigerian youths remain underrepresented in politics, urged them to take charge of their future by voting out corrupt leaders and electing officials committed to good governance.
The older people are not giving the needed notice for the youth. You have to take the bull by the horn, take their destiny to their hands by voting out those people that doesn't have
This year's International Youth Day, themed Local Youth Actions for the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs and beyond, aligns closely with global development priorities. It calls on governments, organizations, and communities to engage young people as active partners in the effort to build a sustainable and inclusive future. Folawumi Olaniyan reporting for Adamimogo FM.
In the same vein, the African Democratic Congress ADC has promised to ensure greater inclusion of young Nigerians in its activities, programs, and policies when it comes into power. The assurance was given by the party's interim national chairman, David Mag, and national youth leader, Balarabe Rufai, during its International Youth Day event held in Abuja today. The International Youth Day, IYD, observed annually on August 12, raises global awareness of youth-related issues while celebrating their potential as vital contributors to the society. Represented by the coalition leader and former APC Vice Chairman Northwest Saliu Lukman, Mark pledged ADC's commitment to true democracy, rejecting imposition, favoritism, and unaccountable politics. The federal government has charged National Youth Service Corps NYSC members to play an active role in curbing the spread of small arms and light weapons SALW across the country. Northeast Zonal Coordinator of the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Major General Abubakar Adamu, gave the charge today at the NYC orientation camp in Bauchi. Adamu, represented by Mr. Adamu Sela, Assistant Director of Strategic Communication and Information, said the active involvement of youth, especially corps members, would significantly help tackle insecurity. Still with the NYC, human rights activist Omoyele Sowore today led a protest to the headquarters of the National Youth Service Corps, NYC, in Abuja, demanding the immediate release of the discharge certificate of Miss Ushirita, a corps member whose service year was allegedly extended unjustly. The protest followed allegations of political victimization and abuse of office by NYC officials, triggering outrage among human rights advocates and legal practitioners. Sowore, while speaking to the crowd, insisted that the corps member had fulfilled our national service and deserved a discharge certificate without delay. A senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Sam Kagbo, has described the recent pensioners' protest in Lagos as disheartening. Speaking on a national television today, Kagbo noted that the pensioners who have worked their entire lives for the state deserved to enjoy their old age with dignity. The SAN also emphasized the need for a culture that respects and supports the elderly, drawing from African cultural values.
These are old people who had given their entire life to the state. They had worked for the state, and it's time for them to retire and enjoy their old age. If they now hold on to their own pension, then obviously you want them to die. They are accelerating them to their graves. It's unfortunate.
The pensioners who claimed their old 35-month pension blamed the Minister of Finance and the Pension Transition Arrangement Directorate for the delay in payment, calling for immediate action to settle the outstanding entitlement. Just listen to News Express on Adamimogo 107.7 FM, Olujudo's Palace. Still to come, NCOS denies GBV in prisons, pledges inmates' welfare and reforms. Do join us again.
Hello, good people of Ekiti State and its environment. For your private, political, family, or club meetings, and so on, of not more than 50 to 100 participants, we introduce to you Adamimogo Event Hall. Yes, right at Oladoyin Palace, Adamimogo 107.7 FM's compound, Ido Ekiti. Ample parking space, good security, clean environment. You also have the opportunity to book for a media publicity of your event on our fast-growing social media platforms. All these for a talking. Simply visit us at Oladoyin Palace, Ido Ekiti, or call the following numbers for more inquiries: 0803 526 5812 or 0916 340 0878 or 0806 511 4430. You can also call 0806 380 8891 at Adamimogo Event Hall. We are waiting for your patronage.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us again. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook via Adamimogo 107.7 FM Ido Ekiti. For happenings around your news enquiries, please contact our newsroom on 0915-786-8095. Now to the rest of the news. The Nigerian Correctional Service (NCOS) has dismissed report of gender-based violence (GBV) in custodial centers nationwide, insisting that such incidents did not occur within its facilities. Deputy Comptroller General of the Legal Department, Ibrahim Idris, stated this during a public hearing in Abuja that there had been no cases or even consideration of physical assaults on inmates in recent years. He described GBV allegations against the service as unfounded and largely driven by social media sensationalism. Idris encouraged non-government organizations visiting custodial centers to freely interact with inmates and report any proven cases of abuse, assuring that the Comptroller General, Sylvester, would take swift action on credible complaints. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Ayegbusi, has approved the upgrade of the legal section of the Nigerian Police Force to the Directorate of Legal Services. A statement released today by the Force's Public Relations Officer, Oladoyin Ayegbusi, said the decision was aimed at creating a clear institutional identity for the force's legal operations, strengthening cohesion and security, or securing recognition across both domestic and international jurisdiction. Ayegbusi also noted that the directive would be the apex legal arm of the force, and responsibilities will include legal training, comprehensive policy review, structured engagement with prosecutorial bodies and judiciary, and other relevant stakeholders in the justice sector. We now move to our segment now, and on business news. Federal government eyes 500,000 tons of cocoa by 2025 amid 606% export surge. Let's now join Tolulope Abolade for more of the story.
Good evening and welcome to Business Updates. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to expanding Nigeria's cocoa industry while ensuring full compliance with the European Union Deforestation Regulation (EUDR), positioning the crop as a key driver of economic diversification, job creation, and sustainable trade. The senior special assistant to the president on agribusiness and productivity enhancements, Kingsley Uzoma, who spoke yesterday at the Nigerian EU Cocoa Roundtable on EUDR compliance held in Abuja, described cocoa as a vital driver of the country's economic diversification agenda. The presidential aide also disclosed that cocoa production supports over 300,000 smallholder farmers who produce approximately 80% of the country's output and contributes roughly 6% to the global supply, with Nigeria targeting 500,000 tons by 2025. Still on Business Update, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has stated that the countries would need an estimated $120 billion to construct its federal road network, a sum that is roughly 4 times the size of its annual budget. TUC President General Festus Osifo noted that Nigeria's current budget, which stands between $30 billion and $5 billion, is already heavily committed to salaries, education, healthcare, defense, and other essential services. He criticized successive governments for failing to diversify the economy in any meaningful way, despite Nigeria's vast opportunities in agriculture and solid minerals. According to him, the chronic underfunding of infrastructure is not only due to low revenue generation, but also stems from weak political leadership. And that's all on Business Updates. Thanks for joining us. I am Tolulope Abolade.
On the foreign scene, European European Union leaders say Ukraine's borders must be changed by force. I take that again. EU leaders say Ukraine's border must be changed by force. Boluwatife Rotade is our guide.
Good evening and welcome to the foreign segment. South Korea's former First Lady, Kim Jong-il, has appeared in court for a 5-hour hearing, but the judge has yet to issue a ruling on a prosecution request for a warrant to arrest her on accusations of interfering with an investigation. If detained, she will be South Korea's only former First Lady to be arrested, joining her husband, former President Yoon Suk-yeol, in jail as he faces trial, following his removal in April over a botched bid to impose martial law in December. According to reports, the charges against her, punishable by years in prison, ranging from stock fraud to bribery and illegal influence, peddling that have implicated business owners, religious figures, and a political power broker. Still on the foreign updates. 2 days before a US-Russia summit on Ukraine in Alaska, 26 out of 27 European leaders has issued a statement affirming Ukraine's right to decide its future and rejecting any change to its borders by force. Hungary's Viktor Orban did not sign, reflecting his pro-Russia stance and opposition to some EU support from Ukraine. The statement reflects European concerns that Russia's action in Ukraine could threaten neighboring countries, prompting moves like Sweden and Finland joining NATO, Baltic states reinstating conscription, and Poland investing billions in a border barrier with Russia. European countries strongly oppose any US-backed deal that legitimizes Russia's territorial gain in Ukraine, viewing it as unacceptable. Trump has suggested a peace plan involving Russia taking all of Donbas and keeping Crimea in exchange for giving up Kherson and Zaporizhia. That will be all on foreign segment. I am Boluwatife Rotade.
In the showbiz world, selection committee opens application for Nigeria's entry for 98th Oscars. Patra Matthew has the story.
Good evening and welcome to Entertainment Update. Popular TikTok personality Pella has lamented over the excessive tax allegedly levied on him by the Lagos state government, which he claims is about 36 million naira. He made this known during a recent live stream featuring singer Peruzzi, as the singer advised him to settle the tax bill to avoid being jailed. However, Pella insisted that the tax bill was outrageous, stressing that the government has never gifted him during any of his TikTok live sessions, which he claims that the government is taxing him because he flaunted his assets and revealed his TikTok income. Still on entertainment news, the Nigerian Official Selection Committee has announced the opening of submission for Nigeria's entry in the Best International Feature Film category at the 98th Academic Awards. According to a statement, filmmakers can submit their qualifying films between August 13 and September 12, 2025 via the official NOSC portal. The eligibility status includes that the film must be feature-length, produced outside United States, with at least 50% of dialogue in language other than English, while Nigerian Pidgin English is acceptable. The film must also include accurate English subtitle and meet AMPAS approved technical specifications. And that's all on Entertainment Update. Thanks for joining us. I am Patra Matthew.
And in the world of sport, Liverpool preparing another bid for Newcastle striker Isaac Mayowa Olashui is standing by.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Update. Liverpool are preparing an improved offer for Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak as Arne Slot's side steps up their search for a marquee forward ahead of the 2025-2026 season. Following the exit of Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz, the Magpies are understood to have rejected a £110 million bid from Liverpool for Isak on August 1, with the Reds subsequently claiming that they were prepared to walk away from a deal should Newcastle turn it down. Still on sports, Brazilian striker João Pedro has described himself as a quality and highly technical player. The Brazilian said this while explaining why his big money transfer from Brighton and Hove Albion to Chelsea is easier compared to other transfers this summer. Before joining Chelsea this summer, Pedro, 23 years old, has netted 10 goals and provided 6 assists for Brighton last season. And that's all on Sports Updates. My name is Mayowa Olashui.
With those sports stories, we end this edition of News Express on Adamimogo 107.7 FM, Olojudos Palace in Ito Ekiti. Before we go, the highlight again. We told you that President Bola Tinubu was appointed Honorable Shizamobi to the Governing Council of Alex Ekweme Federal University, Ebonyi State, and Professor Ibrahim Adamu Yakasai as Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology, Tafe in Zamfara State. We did say that the federal government has introduced a virtual interactive platform designed to improve understanding and enforcement of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers in a bid to strengthen integrity, accountability, and ethical governance. Finally, we reported that the Nigerian Correctional Service (NCOS) has dismissed report of gender-based violence (GBV) in custodial centers nationwide, insisting that such incidents did not occur within its facilities. And that's News Express this evening on Adamimogo 107.7 FM, Olojudo's Palace, Ido-Ekiti. On behalf of the production crew, I am Oladoyin Ayegbusi. Many thanks for listening. Good evening.